Hi there, welcome to lesson 3. We are talking about label definitions and value. Label definitions and values. Interesting topic. And this is where some people really get it all mixed up. But I hope that we'll be able to do something correctly now, have these things established, and then we can build complexity on these simple fundamentals. So without wasting much time, I have a question for you. So there is an object right there in front of you or a number right there. So what does it mean? What does this number mean? Of course, that's the number one. Now, the number one could mean different things to different people. And whenever they see the number, it may emit a different kind of information to them. Now, of course, one is a quantity, no doubt. And if you looked at the thumbnail for this particular video, you would observe that it has a picture of a guy with 52 on his chest. You know, he's wearing a jersey with 52 written on it. So, what does 52 mean? Does it mean 52 heads? Is it the 52nd person in the team? No. So, the one could be representing something in your mind, but it's easier to just identify with one. The same thing with our football players, there's a video on that. All our football players, we have them wearing number 9 jersey, number 7 jerseys, and some of them have been good with it, and some of them have had some very unique numbers. So if you go from club to club, if I say 9, 9 evokes a different kind of emotion. It brings another kind of picture, just like one here. So one could mean many things. It could mean your one and only, the love of your life. Whenever you say the one, you are the one, you are the one. You are referring to that number, but you are talking about somebody that you have maybe a love interest with. And then one could be $1 million. One could be a date in a calendar or a special date to you. So basically, one could be anything that you name it. So see this number one as empty bottles, and you find that there are certain bottles that are so identical. What differentiates one bottle from the other, of course, is the content, but the label. When you look at a bottle and you see Coke on it, what you expect to drink from it is Coke. That's the label. So sometimes even the bottles have the same shape, but the label differentiates that this is lavender and this one is frankincense. So basically, the structure of the numbering is the same. They are same numbers. So I could have one meaning something to someone, one meaning another thing to another person. So let's not take so much time. We had done this before. If we look at our data format, I'm taking you back to this slide that we had in module 1. We said we had categorical variables. And what I said is one could mean yes. Now look at this, one could mean three different things. One could mean male, or one could mean not central. So each number carried a meaning, and that's how we came across categorical variables. So in your data set, we've also established that in module 2, that these categorical variables are the ones that we call that the ones in blue. We had mentioned the color codes at the end till end of module 2. So you may want to go back and check all these videos I'm referring to. So it's also in the days, I don't know if you are in this season, but in those days we were writing exams, we used to fill responses. There was a time, and I think we still do that now. So whatever was the correct answer. So C, for example, meant something. So that could be your own correct answer. My own correct answer could be D or A or B. So C was representing something, and then you shaded that in the exams. And if you are doing computer-based text, you just pick the right options. So basically, that is how it works. And that's what we call a label definition. We're trying to say, define what one means, define what two means. Someone's one may be a yes, but another person's one may be a no. So define it. The definition is what drives its value. The definition drives its value. So let's look at the forms that we had just a few minutes ago. I think that was in lesson number 2. In that form, we mentioned that gender male is 1 and female is 2. So whenever you see the number 2, we are referring to a female. When you see the number 1, we're referring to a male. So you're allowing Stata know what each number represents. And that's the very first step when you are dealing with categorical variable. This entire lesson is about categorical variables. Variables that have numbers, but the numbers have meanings. That's how I define it. So now let's look at the variable syntax, the syntax in Stata. So you start with label define, and you are telling Stata, I'm about to define stuff for you. And then when you do that, you now need to tell it the label name. Now, this is what encapsulates all the definitions. Then you mention the string and then you do comma modify. Now, there are variants of this, but we are building from the fundamentals. When you become advanced, we can tweak things the way we like. But this is what we will do to build the structure before we add complexity. So as usual, I will give you an example or a group of examples. So look at gender, for example. Label define gender 1. 1 means male and then comma modify. Gender 2 means female. So when the definition is called gender and you are saying 1 means male in this definition, 2 means female. So you see that in both lines, gender is common because I'm trying to say I want to define something called gender and I want to give you the parameters for defining gender. Let's look at the second example. There are 3 communities or community types. So I define this definition as community, but it has 3 flavors. 1 meaning rural, 2 meaning urban, 3 meaning suburban. So that is what we call a definition. So this basic video, like I mentioned, is dealing with categorical variables alone. Because when you're doing your data preparation, they require extra bit of attention. Okay, so let me move on to the next step. When you have finished defining your variable, your value sets, when you finish having your label definition, the next thing is to attach it to a variable. So you can define for all you care, but now you have to enforce that definition by attaching it to a variable. So there is a syntax called label value. This attaches a label definition to a variable. So what it means, you cannot do label value until you have given label definition. Just say add. It will say, I don't have a definition. What does 1 mean? What does 2 mean? What does 3 mean? So you need to first have a label definition. Sometimes it's already in the data set, but sometimes you have to create it. But you cannot label value without defining labels. That's how it works. So when you are done, we now have what we call label value var list label name, which just basically means give all this group of variables. We did var list in module 2. Give all this list of variables this label. So if I had 3 variables in var list, var1, var2, var3, and I said 1 is male, anywhere they find 1 in any of the 3 of them, they will be called male. So that's how it works. So let's give examples. Now I said label values location asterisk community. Now remember, we defined community as 1 is rural, I think 2 is urban, 3 is suburban. So everywhere you find a variable that starts with location, the first character is location, give it the tag community. And then everywhere you find sex, give it the definition gender. So the definition comes after the variable. Please note. So I will reinforce that again. So the very first step is to define the label, and the second step is to attach the label definition to the variables. That's it. Now, sometimes number one has been done for you. It's already the data set. All you just need to do is just apply. And I'm going to show you in the practical session how this is done. Thank you so much and see you in the practical session shortly. Bye for now. So hi there, welcome to lesson 3, practicals. So we had talked about label definition, and for us to be able to use it, it only applies to setting variables. So, and I'm going to take it really from the fundamentals. So, for us to understand this, we're focusing basically on categorical variables. And I already mentioned to you, categorical variables are the blue ones. So, in this case, this is 4 in here. That is the blue variable. So, and there are numbers here, so which we could also use, if we wanted to specify certain things. So, um, let's look at tons. I don't know what that means basically, but just this is variable that we could try to manipulate. I'll just pick a few and then just help you to understand why all the definition must come in, for example, and how you can alter stuff. So for every ton that we have here, which I think we have 40, 42, I think they have varied between 30 something and 42. So I don't want to use certain commands now because I've not taught you, but I just want to show you how I can turn the ton variable to blue. I could also apply it to the MPG. Basically, variables that are integers are the ones used for categorical variables. So I'm not going to waste so much time, but I'll just pick a few. So let's quickly take ton. Now I looked at ton. Ton had the value of 40, 35, 43. I'm just going to pick a couple. Define the label, and you are going to finish for every one in your own practice time. So let's look at what that ton means. Ton means ton cycle. So I'm going to say I'm going to define labels now. So, and I want to add words. Ton cycle is taken in feet, as you can see. So we had 40. Just go back quickly. Just pick only 3 numbers. I'll pick 40. I'll pick 35. And I will pick 43. So 40, 35, 43. So I told you what the syntax is. So I will say label define turn label. That's what we'll call it now. I am defining turn label, and I'm saying if turn label has 40, it means 40 feet. And then I say comma modify. I want to put everything in a straight line so you can see no hanky panky. So I'm defining a label called ton label, which I will attach to ton. So I will pick 35 as 35 feet. So I'll just copy and paste in. I will pick label 43 as 43 feet. So once there is a number called 43, the words that will be in front in blue will be 43 feet, and the ones behind is 43. So basically I'm just trying to help create another categorical variable. Okay, so I'm only going to do these 3. You are going to do all, and you're going to see why very soon. Now, after I've defined for these three, you would realize that we have more values that don't have definitions. There is 42. I did not define 42. I did not define 34 or 45 or 31 or 41. You can check. There are other values I did not define. So what exactly happens when I attach? So I have done my definition. Now I'm going to do my attachment. So I'm going to say label values turn label. So I'm saying take this label and attach it to the variable called turn. Now it's easier to check all what is going on or transforming here in the editor. So let's scroll until we can see turn right in front of our screen. So this is the turn variable here. Now let's watch how magic is created. So I select and then I execute and run. Now, did you see? Everywhere there was 43 now, there's 43 feet. But there's something interesting. 34 and 42 that were never defined just remain plain. They were not defined. The only thing, if you scroll down the 78 cars or 74 cars here, the only things that were defined will be labeled. So you must do a thorough label definition before you do your attachment, or you'll find this kind of problem. So I will just add one more definition, and that's for 34. So let's copy this, just one line I want to add for 34. And of course you see that it has turned blue. It was black before, but now it is blue. Okay, so this is now 34. I'm going to do a bit of tweaking now so you see what happens. All these things you can try. I don't want to save anything now, so let's just leave it like this. So, okay. I start again, define 4. There are 4 definitions now, and then I run. And let's pay attention to 34, which was plain. But by the time we run, all 34s now have feet added to them. So please, the whole goal is for you to also be able to do this yourself. Define what your label will be and then attach. Now, sometimes I'm going to go to this variable called foreign. Domestic, as you can see, behind the number is 0. And then for foreign, behind the number is 1. I can change my labels. So you can remove a label from a bottle. You know, maybe you labeled it paracetamol, and then you now name it some other name of an analgesic, or you know some other drug. So you just remove the label and put another label. So, but there are 2 values here. There is a value called 0, numeric value of 0 and 1. So what if I change domestic to, so I'll call it label define. I'll call this one new label. Now I'm very careful. So you observed I use turn label here. When I'm attaching, I use the same turn label because that's the definition. You're attaching this definition to this variable. So please be free to change yours to turn lab or whatever name. I always want people to not to do exactly what I do. First do what I do exactly, and then tweak, keep tweaking, so that the fundamental concept soaks in and sinks in better when you tweak. So start with what I gave you and then start experimenting. But like I only want to plead with you, for your CSUS file, don't replace, create another folder, create a copy of that folder, and then keep playing. Play with it. I tell people, tear it apart, fix it again, tear it apart, fix it again. Okay, I want to do foreign, so I said new label, that's what I called it, and my new 0 will be local, comma, modify. Now, there are other ways of doing label definitions, but let's keep it simple. There's no need to complicate anything significantly. Okay, the next thing to do, the next thing that is required to be done is now to do new label for number one. Number one, let's call it global. That was for the foreign cars before. So all foreign cars now will be global. All domestic cars will be local. Now, even when you define a label, nothing changes. So you see label define and label values, both of them have to go together. But the definition must have come before the values. That's very important. So let me just borrow this label values turn. So I need to first identify the variable name. In this case, I can see it here. It's called foreign. So I will take foreign, say take foreign and attach new label to foreign. Now let's run. We define the variable, we give the definition first, and then we attach. We define the label and then attach that label. Like I told you, just taking what's the word? Just taking a label and sticking it on a bottle. This happens in pharmacies, this happens in some supermarkets and stores. So they put a label, they put a price label. So if the price was, $40, but now it has changed to $45 or it's now $30, they remove that sticker and put in another label. So that's what I'm just doing now. I'm just attaching new label to foreign, a variable called foreign. So pay attention to what happens here at the foreign section. And when I run, now all domestic is local and all foreign is global. So that is how it works, basically. Now I can change it back by defining a new label, and saying 0 again is domestic, and 1 again is foreign. If I run again, we take it back to what it was before. What if my label was domestic was category 1 and foreign is now category 2? When I pick and run, please just look at the foreign variable in the editor window, data editor. That's what happens, basically. So this is how labels work. So please go back to turn, try and finish it. You can overwrite it. You can change your own names, but maybe what you do first is just start with this sequence. So you can pause the video. Remember what steps we had taken. We opened the auto file. We had done variables just a few lessons ago. I didn't change that. And then you just define what your turn feet will be. I told you turn is in feet. If I select turn variable, here I get to know more about it. So we can change the variable name for turn. So this is the label for turn. Let's scroll down. So it's turn cycle. So in feet, that's what it's called. So there are many things that can be done. I can edit that also and say I want to put it as cycle here, or reduce feet to feet in abbreviation, I move it a bit to the side. I always want you to see everything in one line. It's too early to start folding lines. So yeah, I could do the same thing. I could do it quickly, just to show, spend a little more time showing you that this should be 35 and this should be 35. Let's just even leave it this way. When we do the turn label, only 35 and 40 that we have circled right in front of them. So we run again. So you see 34 doesn't have circle in front of it because in the definition it's not there. So it's what you define, is what you give, that's what you get. That's the bottom line. So I hope this has been useful. Try to finish the turn, try to experiment more. There is the census data. try to know what each number stands for in the census data. So this is the time to try to keep experimenting. Some of these things will reinforce as we close the course, I think, in Module 10. But the goal is just for you to start playing around with things before we really get deep into deep waters. Thank you so much for your time. Please do not fail to subscribe. If this has been so interesting and exciting, the least you could do for us is to like, click notification bell, and share with your network, share with your students, share with your colleagues at the office, share with your subordinates, share with somebody that will be able to call you back and say thank you. The goal is to raise a tribe of people who can create the highest possible quality of data in the shortest possible time. Not only do I teach you how to make it very good, I try to teach also how to make it very good in a short time with minimal cost. So there's also a video somewhere about creating several folders. This is advanced, but just know that someday you would understand how that works, and Stata can produce like over 3,000 folders and subfolders within less than a minute, literally within seconds. So please try to focus, try to share. Please leave a comment below what you would like us to improve on, what you would like us to teach on as it regards data management. And that's why the title of this channel is All I Know. There may be some things I don't know, so feel free to add it in the comment and I can learn one or two things from you. But this is all I know about data for data management. See you in the next lesson. Thank you.